Hello, YouTube. All right, just wanted to do a quick update on what is going on and let you guys know what's going on with Bill, as well as the situation with the RV. Now, I think Sunday after my video on the gripe, I was saying that they weren't doing anything, and I had a talk with them how disappointed I was. And I was sad for them. I was sad because it's like, with their behavior, no wonder they were getting kicked out everywhere, the guy and his mother. But I hope they took it to heart. It looks like they might have, because when I got home that evening, they had actually cleared some of that weed and stuff that they said they would help with. And, they didn't have it all completely cleared, but they were working hard on it. Well, the mother was. But anyhow, the stuff was getting done. It looked like, they took what I said and, understood that, if they don't keep their word, I'm going to end up booting them out before they even settle in. Now, some people had concerns about, the RV and how they might end up camping there and stuff. Part of the reason for giving it to them is, like, if you see me filming in the backyard, it's still there, you're going to start to see the RV to look a little bit more messed up, because people are living in it, dogs ripping up the blinds and stuff, it's got an animal in there jumping around when they're outside. So the RV's looking a little bit more lived in, if you want to say that, but I'm not really worried about them, trying to stay in camp for long term, because I think they genuinely want to get out and get their own place. And there's kind of a built-in deadline. I gave them the RV so I myself wouldn't be upset with watching it kind of get used, to put it lightly. Things start breaking and whatnot, and when it's not mine, I don't care. They do whatever, as long as it doesn't, break apart and leave parts all over my yard. But it's theirs, and, it's still functional. He's been trying to fix it up. The guy is trying to fix it up and stuff to make sure it's roadworthy and safe and everything else, and everything's functioning as best as possible. But there's kind of an unofficial deadline for them to get out, and that has to do with the neighbor. That empty lot next to me was bought maybe about a year. It was like bought a month after I bought mine, after I bought my house. But they bought an empty lot that was kind of overgrown and stuff. And they've been coming over to cut all the trees and bushes and stuff around the lot to clear it, because I suspect they're going to be moving in soon. They bought the lot, and they probably have spent the last year or so saving to buy a mobile home. And then as soon as they have the mobile home and all the funds for moving it and getting all the installations, they're going to be setting up a new house. I don't know if the mobile home is going to be new or not, but they're going to be putting a mobile home there. Or I don't know if they're allowed to build a regular house, because it looks like in that neighborhood there are some houses there that aren't mobile homes. So I don't know. But anyhow, if they do that, when they do that, that means that fence right there, we won't be able to take it down and run the RV through their yard. It'll be stuck in my yard. There's not enough room for it to get out of my backyard without running into my house. The side of the house there, it's not wide enough. So the RV came through the fence. That's how it got put there. And we're going to have to take the fence down when we get the RV out. So, and it's not that simple. The RV is actually stuck in the backyard because, the area is covered with sugar sand. So he's going to have it towed. He's going to have to either try to tow it with his own truck, or, hire a tow truck to come try to get the RV out of my backyard. And it's all got to be done before the new neighbor moves their house there. Because once they do that, there's not going to be any room. Won't be able to get it out. So he'll lose the RV. So those of you who are worried about them leaving, I'm not so much worried about them not leaving. I say they can stay as long as they need to try to save money. The other reason for charging rent, in addition to covering my additional expenses and stuff, is to give them incentive to move. And I'm not taking all their money. For those wondering how, they're paying for everything. The mother does get, I don't know if it's Social Security or disability. She says she gets widow's Social Security or whatever. Widow's Social Security. So her husband had died, so she gets money, more than enough to cover the rent. So the rent I'm taking is just a portion of what they get, just on her Social Security alone, and I'm leaving them money so they have spending money as well as money they can save. And then, right now he's looking for work again. So, and kind of working, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to get too much into it, but basically the mother's disability or SSI or whatever will cover the rent, plus give them some money that they can save so they can eventually get out. So I'm not really worried about not getting rent. And the rent is kind of there as an incentive for them to get out, because I'm giving them a chance to save money, but I'm also giving them a chance when they get their own place, they don't have to keep paying me. So hopefully that works out. I don't really see them leaving being an issue. Pretty much, I think if I get tired of it, I can tell them to leave, and I'm pretty sure they'll leave. But, that remains to be seen. But the real reason I've been really stressing, I'm stressing a little bit about that, but the big reason I've been stressing is the Bill situation. My friend Bill. I'm going to give you a little bit of a detail on what's going on with him. Okay, honestly, Bill and I aren't even close friends or anything. The way it seems, like a lot of people think he and I are like really good friends. Not really. Okay, Bill was actually my boss when I was younger. And I worked for him in his computer store and did all sorts of bad stuff. I had to move the cat poo and really nasty stuff, and it was like for minimum wage. And then I went back there when I was older, after I got out of graduated and had my college degree and everything, was moved back to Brevard County while I was waiting for a job as a teacher. I went there to work for him. And, Bill's not exactly the easiest boss to work for. He used to drink all the time and smoke cigarettes nonstop. And, so he was kind of difficult as far as, a boss. And for me, I needed to get a certain pay to make it so I could afford to pay my rent and everything else while I was living there and try to save money for an apartment. So I ended up, working for him like overtime. I would work 50 to 60 hours a week, but only bill him for 40. And, what I did was I had him, that was so, it was like under the table. I know it's illegal, but we did that so that he would save money, not having to pay additional taxes on it. But to do that, I raised my hourly rate, to more than minimum wage. Was how I did it. And I worked all those days and all those hours so that he could have time off to spend with his family. His kids, he had 2 sons and his wife. So he can go fishing and stuff. He was a store owner. I told him, hey, you let me do all the additional work and stuff, and you only have to work 2 or 3 days. I'll work all the other days. And in the process, I also streamlined the business, saved him a lot of money, basically made him maybe about 30-40% more profit, even though he had to pay me. That's after he paid me my new salary, which was higher than he had ever paid anybody before. But that's how I knew Bill. And then, I moved and everything kind of settled down. But then when my situation happened with my now ex-wife, and I ended up locked up, in jail, Bill was the only one, even that story of how I got in touch with Bill was complicated, but Bill was the only person who actually did anything to help me. And what he did was he loaned me money to bail myself out of jail, and also to have some money to try to get myself situated. So he loaned me $2,000. My bail was only like $100 to get out of jail. Yeah, I was locked up for. They would have locked me up indefinitely on $100 until I paid them all up. But I couldn't pay because everybody had seized. You know, the ex-wife had access to the bank accounts. It was all seized, and I didn't have access to my money. The system, the police, and all that set it up so I couldn't even access my money until I got out. They took my wallet and took my credit cards and my debit cards, so I couldn't bond myself, couldn't bail myself out for $100. And they had me in jail for 89 days before Bill was able to finally get me the $2,000, you know, that he was loaning me. And then I bonded myself. I bailed myself out of jail for $100. Then I had to go pay all the court fees, all the police fees. You know how the police charge you when they arrest you? You know, they charge you all this money. It was like $600-700 went to the police. They make money when they haul people off. Anyhow, I had to pay all that. Then I had to go straighten out stuff at the bank, and then I had to pay for all these classes, you know, and whatnot that the county makes you go through. But that was the last interaction I had with Bill before his stroke. Within probably about 2-3 years after I got out, you know, and was trying to get my life under control. And I had moved, I think, by then to Port St. Lucie. I was actually engaged and living in Port St. Lucie with another woman. And Bill ended up having a stroke. And he had the stroke, and I found out about it when I came up to town and I went to visit him. And his ex-wife, now ex-wife, was blocking all his friends and stuff from seeing him. And I think she did that because she was planning on doing something really bad. She was going to abandon him. And she isolated Bill, so nobody had access to him except for her. And then, like Bill and I still shake our head over this, she closed his store and threw away all his inventory. He had probably about $70,000 worth of inventory in computer parts, and a lot of his stuff is really rare now, like Commodore 64 stuff, you know, Amiga. It was a lot of computer inventory with hard to replace parts, you know, like things for the Commodore and stuff, the 8-bit computers and whatnot. So she tossed all of that, closed shop, and isolated Bill, and nobody knew what happened. Now, fast forward about 10-12 years later, which is now, present day, okay, about 6 or 8 months ago, Bill contacted me out of the blue on Facebook. And it turned out it wasn't really Bill. It was the in-care, you know, home service, you know, like nurse, not really a nurse, but kind of like a home caregiver, that he got her to track me down on Facebook and sent me a friend request. Once I did the friend request with him, he gave me a video call, you know, so that's how we reconnected. And I went to visit him and saw the situation and found out that his father, what had happened, this is what I had to piece it together based on what I did on research and reading the letters and the bills and everything else that happened. So this is all, because Bill can't talk, you know, he's paralyzed, has a stroke, he's limited in speech. He's still cognitively there, you know, he can think and he knows stuff and he communicates, kinda, but it's very limited, you know. It's like mostly 1 or 2 words and broken, and he can't, like, he knows what he wants to say, but he can't say it. It's frustrating for him, and frustrating for somebody trying to communicate with him on stuff like the hospital bills and everything else, which is me dealing with it. That's why you see me frustrated, because I have to deal with it. Then I have to go between him and the hospital and the state and all this other stuff. I have to do all the calls. I have to fill out all the paperwork. It's a ton of stuff for Medicaid, Medicare, hospital stays, and he goes to the hospital a lot. Like this week alone, you know, I just took him to the hospital the other day for the cardiologist, and now we're going to do a follow-up today. I'm heading over to pick him up for stress tests. So I'm spending almost every day running to the hospital, either for Bill or for myself. You know, because my health is having issues. I got to get an MRI and some other stuff. So like just this week alone, I think out of like 4 or 5 days straight, every day is at the hospital, either for Bill or for me. And, right after my job, right after work. And it's a long drive to go get Bill because he doesn't live where I live. So each time I go to see Bill, I probably drive like 100 miles, maybe 120 miles total. So kind of putting things in perspective so you can see why I'm stressed, because I'm getting stretched really thin, And it wasn't like, normally when I help people, I feel like I'm okay and I'm able to help people, and then I reach out and help people. But what happened with regards to Bill was he basically reached out to me and was drowning and said, help me. And I'm trying to help him as best as I can. And I was helping him for the past, like 6-8 months, which was kind of stressing me a bit, but it was okay. But then on top of that, when we had that other guy and his mom show up at my house, needing a place to stay, and I felt bad for them and took them in, it kind of, I'm kind of overwhelmed right now. Because it's not like you send somebody money on PayPal and it's over. It's like a continual commitment. And it's people who are having a hard time managing their own affairs, and you got to kind of step in and kind of guide them. And with Bill, it's not stepping in to guide him. I have to literally do everything for him. The guy is paralyzed. So I push him around in his wheelchair, and I'm also dealing with Bill himself. He's kind of a difficult person. He wants things a certain way and whatnot. And even trying to help him, like he wants control. Really to help somebody in that situation, you need to kind of basically be his attorney and power of attorney over him. But I don't want to do that. I don't want a complete power of attorney over Bill, because if I do that, then I'm totally responsible for him, and the state of Florida will hold me accountable, for everything. And Bill is still, that's why no one's signing. No one wants to do it. Even the state of Florida doesn't want to do it. And Bill's reluctant to give partial control, like for example, over his finances. So every time we have to pay for something, I got to go pick him up. We got to go to the bank, and then he's got to get the money, and it gets complicated. And the bank closes at a certain time. I get off work at a certain time. I got to drive 100 miles, round trip, 70 to 100 miles I spend when I go to visit Bill. But anyhow, long story short, when his father died, his father left him some money in his account. I don't know if it was Bill's money or his father's money. I suspect a combination of both, but probably mostly his father's money. And sadly, if you have money in your account, if you have more than $2,000 in your bank account, the state doesn't consider you poor. They don't consider you impoverished, like to the point where you qualify for food stamps or whatever. You can't have assets. Like, you can't have more than $2,000 in assets. Because if you have more than that, you don't qualify for even like the phones, the free government phones. You don't qualify for food stamps. You don't qualify for anything, really. And that's the position Bill's in. He gets he gets disability, Social Security, but it's like $700 a month. That's all he really gets. Okay. Right now he gets, believe it or not, I don't know how it was arranged, but he actually gets child support from his ex-wife. But that's going to end because the children are, almost grown up now. They're going to be grown up, or they are grown up. So that's probably going to end very soon, which means Bill has to live off $700 a month. Now, if you've been trying to rent or anything like that, that $700 won't even get you anything. You'll be lucky you can get a room, which no one would take a room of a paralyzed guy and let him stay there. Because not only is he paralyzed, he can't stand, he can stand up and plop down. That's about the extent of his movement abilities. So he needs 24/7 care, but he doesn't have it. And prior to me showing up, his father and an attorney who they paid took power of attorney and hired like a in-home visitation thing, visiting angels is what they call themselves. And they hired them for 4 hours a day for 2 days a week. And that cost about $1,000 a month, more than $1,000 a month, just for 4 hours a day, twice a week, so 8 hours a week. And all his other bills. And, you know, he's paying for the apartment, electric, water, whatever, phone. He's paying for phone. He pays like $65 a month for phone, okay? So I've been trying to cut all his bills down. When I met him, he was spending about $3,600 a month. That's how much Bill was spending every month to maintain staying alive at his apartment. And it's not even a fancy apartment, but the prices are all sky high right now. So I'm trying to find a cheaper place for Bill to live, but obviously with a budget of $700 a month, and you know, and Bill does stuff that's some people would deem wasteful, and it is, but he's like, he doesn't care. He's like, I'm dying anyways, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. So, you know, he smokes, he still chain smokes. That's probably one of the reasons, you know, for the stroke. He smoked, but then he quit, then had the stroke. So now he's back and he's smoking. So he chain smokes, goes through about a pack a day. Those things are expensive. And he also does the medical marijuana, which is expensive, you know. So he spends just on the cigarettes and marijuana and stuff about $500 or more a month. Yeah. So you got $700 coming in, and you spend $500 a month on cigarettes and marijuana. And he needs around-the-clock care. And he needs a place to live. That's why Dinoy is stressing. That's why nobody else is stepping up. So, I'm trying to formulate a plan right now. I'm going to see if it works. I finally got to the point where I got tired of Bill telling me to just don't worry about it, because it's been about 6 months, and in that time he's gone through about $26,000, which means he has $26,000 less, and he's about to run out of money very soon, like probably within a year and a half at the most. And then he'll be broke where he can get, you know, rental assistance, maybe from the government for handicapped people, seniors, and phone services, you know, for free, reduced internet and other stuff. But the problem is, as soon as he runs out of money, he'll be on the street, and as soon as he's on the street, he's dead. You know, some people had asked why I wouldn't move Bill into the RV. It's for that reason. He can't stand, he can't do anything, he can't climb stairs, you know, steps and stuff. And then I had even contemplated letting Bill live in my house, but then the walls, the hallway walls would have to be torn down. A whole bunch of ramps and other modifications have to be made for somebody who's handicapped. And the big problem is Bill smokes, chain smokes and all that stuff. I don't smoke, my wife doesn't smoke, we can't stand cigarette smoke. And, you know, Bill has a lot of demands on what he wants. And it's hard, I don't know, if you've ever dealt with old people who are grouchy and stuff and can kind of throw a tantrum, multiply that by 10 for Bill. That's what we're dealing with, okay, when he gets angry, when he gets upset. So, what happened the other day was I finally drew the line and told Bill, you know, that was like probably the day before my frustration video on the people moving into my backyard. I had to draw a line with Bill and tell him, look, Bill, you're gonna have to, if you want me to help you and you want me to help you, then you trust me. And if you trust me, you need to give me control of your finances and situation, because I have to act now to try to get you a place while you still have a resource. You still have some money that I can use to try to get a place for you to rent and everything else. Get you set up. What I have to do is reduce $3,600 each month, okay, down to less than $700. That includes rent. Well. Here's the price. If you're older or have older parents and stuff, just to give you a shell shock issue if you've never looked into it. But care for the elderly, if you put them in a nursing home or whatever, assisted living or whatever, it's roughly in Florida in this area, going to run you about 27 to 3,500, 3,500 per month. And then if they're like Bill, they require, somebody there to kind of watch him all day long and help him get up and bathe and, everything else, then it can run an additional 2,500. So you're looking at about 5,500 to 7,000 a month to care for someone like Bill. And I have $700 a month. And Bill wants to spend 500 of it on cigarettes and drugs. Well, marijuana, medical marijuana. And that is why Denoy is stressed. So I've been cracking my head for the last 6-8 months trying to deal with this. And it got to the breaking point of last week. I went and I told Bill, you either do it my way or I walk. I don't want to be there. He says, why? Bill, I don't want to be there when you're totally out of money. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be really ugly. The state of Florida will take over, and then they will put him into the nursing home where he went when we went to deal with his heart, his heart issue a couple months back. And he said it was like a jail there, and it is. My sister was there. They take like Medicaid, but so I don't know how much Medicaid pays, but they take Medicaid at those places, but the treatment is horrendous. I think the staff gets minimum wage or a little bit over minimum wage. I've been in there where I saw people, old people, elderly people that had fallen out of their wheelchair and was laying on the floor, and the staff just laughs at them and walks over them. They've been reported to the state of Florida, but the state doesn't do anything, doesn't shut them down. I don't know. It's like a horror movie, where you have an old folks home and they literally let them fall and break their bones or whatever and just walk over them and laugh at them. That's what I saw. I witnessed it. And, I was looking at the reviews. People have reported that stuff to the state, and the state of Florida doesn't do anything about it. They're still in business, still doing the same stuff. So that's where someone like Bill would end up if he got no help. And he wouldn't last very long, because he can't speak, fully. He's got a stroke. They just do whatever to him. They probably drug him all day and keep him sleeping. But those are the stresses I'm having. I have my own stress, my own personal issues, and things going on in my life that I got to deal with also. And of course, my own health and my own retirement here coming up. I'm spending all my money. It's not just that I'm spending money, I'm trying to help these people, including Bill. So I'm looking at my situation. I'm like, this isn't good, because I'm going to end up, after I help all these people, with nothing. And then when something happens to me, I'm probably not going to get any help. So I've got to try to come up with something that's going to cover me, because I'm losing, money and time and energy and what should be going towards my retirement here coming up. I'm spending it on other people. And, if it sounds like I'm kind of regretting it, it's not a regret issue. I could have said no and just walked away like everybody else. But I can't do that to Bill, who bonded me out of jail. Or he didn't really bond me. He loaned me the money, and I paid him back. I paid him back in 2 weeks. Okay, once I got out, I went to the bank, straightened out my bank situation, got money, and paid him the loan. But I can't do that. I can't do that to someone, especially someone who helped me when no one else would. And as far as the people in the backyard, I'm helping them as best as I can. But if they start to become too much of an issue, I will boot them out. But if I can help them while we're here, I'll help them. But for now, I'm tapped out. For a while, I was helping some of the people in the Living in a Van Facebook group. Sending them money for gas, whatever. Trying to help them as best as I could. But what happens is a lot of the people, you send them the money and you help them, and then they write you asking for more money. Think I'm an ATM or something. I'm saving pennies and stuff. You know, I'm trying to run solar power. Oh, the other thing is, like, some people are saying, well, what are you going to do with the solar power? You know, I'm giving it all. My solar power system for the house is actually the RV. It's all the solar panels, about 1,000 watts on the RV itself, and the battery bank and all that, and the inverter and solar chargers and all that. I'm giving them all away with the RV, so those people will have a really nice system, so that, you know, if they need power, they have it for the RV, and they can charge their own system back up and whatnot. They'll have to get new batteries and stuff because the batteries are kind of old. At least have a system. But that, when they leave with the RV, it means I don't have a solar power system anymore. That's another reason for charging the rent and stuff, because when they leave, you know, depending on how long they stay, you know, I'll use that money to buy new solar panels, new charge controller, new batteries. The system I had previously was about, you know, a little bit over $2,000. I'll try to get a system that's at least $2,000, you know, at least as good, but it might cost more. You know, prices have gone up now. So that's the reason, you know. Otherwise, I could stay for free or whatever. But I need to replace my stuff, and it's just easier to just let them take it with the RV than take everything apart and potentially break things and make leaks in the roof of the RV. And it gets complicated. So it's just better to try to get some money out of it to replace my systems and get that back. So that's what's going on. Just wanted to let you guys know. If you have suggestions on things I can try with Bill, remember, we're working with a budget of $700 each month. That's all we got. And we have to get a place for him to stay, pretty much almost 24/7 care, and have money for his cigarettes and drugs and medical marijuana. Because if you have a solution that works, I'm really eager to hear it. Mind you, I've researched this stuff for about 6-8 months. I've called a bunch of different agencies. I've tried to get the hospital social workers and whatnot to help me. I've tried to get the county social worker to help me. It all comes back to the individual has to do it themselves. And in Bill's case, if he can't do it, he can't do it. He's gonna be on the street and he won't last long. Or his family takes over, but you know, his family, they have abandoned him. I reached out to his son, one of his sons, abandoned. So that's where we stand. And if you don't have any suggestions or anything, or any advice, prayers would be appreciated. Until next time, everyone, take care. God bless you all. And I hope you don't ever find yourself in this situation.